こんにちは皆さん、お元気ですか？ Hello, how are you? This video is about anime number 8 of anime, and today I'm going to talk about shogi. Shogi. Well, at first I'm going to explain what is shogi with this kanji, shogi. Well, shogi is like a Japanese chess, and this kanji sho, it means to lead people, to lead. For example, you know, very famous person, shogun. Shogun. So shogun is the main person of all bushi, all kind of samurai. So he was shogun with this kanji, sho. And gi, and this is like the board in the game. For example, in the case of shogi, well, this is not the real one. This is for children. This is shogi bang. Esto es, for example, este es gi. Here we play shogi, and their pieces for two parts. And for example, this one gyoku, and also this one the king. So these are the two kings. So one person had one, and the other one. And for example, this one hisha, and as you know, this is for children. So there are this red arrow to say where I have to go. And in the back part is ryu. This is dragon. So we know how to move. But these are for children because I bought these to play with my daughter when she was younger. And I also bought this book, Yasashii Kodomo Shogi Nyumon. This is for children. But actually, real shogi is like this, and the person who plays shogi is wearing kimono, so like traditional way. But the real piece of shogi is not like this. Not like this. But this is with wood, made of wooden. But it's the kanji is much bigger. I'll show you. For example, like this. Well, you see kanji, oh, here, like kanji is bigger. That is the professional one, the bigger one. But these that I have, it's just for children. But not with this, we can know how to move. So this is shogi. And shogi was born, but not only shogi, chess was born in India. And from India through China came to Japan. So this is shogi in Japan. But you've got chess. The origin is the same in India. So, and after India, through Persia, it's the Iran, and that went to the European countries, and that is chess in Occidental way. But shogi is Japanese way of Japanese chess. And to play this shogi, there are 20 pieces. Each person has got 20 pieces to play. And the very, very big difference between chess and Japanese chess, shogi, is that when you take the opponent's piece, then you can you can use it again. But you can use it again, but just like yours. So there are much more possibilities, because in Occidental style chess, if you take the opponent's piece, but you cannot use this one, right? But in Japanese chess, in Japanese shogi, you've got 20 pieces first. But when you take the other one's piece, then you got more pieces and you can use them again. So it's a very unique difference. And the one thing that I really like about shogi is that when the tournament, this championship begins, you begin with lei. Lei. This is the Japanese style greeting. And when you finish, also with greeting. And this game doesn't finish only if you just think, ah, I won. No, but the opponent must say, 負けました。負けました. Well, this means 負けます, this verb, it means to lose. So 負けました means I lost. I've lost. I've lost the game. So if the opponent doesn't say this word, the game doesn't finish. So I think this is very beautiful way to recognize that you have lost. You've lost. You've just lost. Then this uh, humility and that part I like it very very much about shogi. So shogi is a board game. But it's like a war, the real war. But um, because you need to have a good strategy to protect the king. The next word, kishi or purokishi. Well, ki, this kanji is from shogi, that shogi, this one. But here we pronounce ki. In the second one, shi, this is also like samurai, samurai. So kishi, this the player of shogi player or Japanese chess player. But this player it's like a samurai. And maybe you can say also puro kishi. This puro, it comes from professional. And we say puro kishi, puro kishi. So the professional Japanese Japanese chess player. This is puro kishi. Today I'm going to talk about some very very interesting animes and these stories about puro kishi. Just before talking about anime, I'd like to talk about one very very famous proxy in Japan. Well, actually there are many famous um, proxy, but this one that I'm going to talk about is very very famous. His name is Fuji Sota. Fuji Sota. Fuji, family name. Sota, and his name. So maybe you may say Sota Fuji. Well, he was born in 2002. It means today 2020. So he's only 18 years old. But just a few years ago, when he was just only 16 years old, he won the very, very special prize. Well, he got lots of prizes, but he won the very famous tournament. So he got just like he was the best shogi player in Japan. So he's very famous and he's just now only 18 years old. He's very, very famous proxy in Japan now. The first anime that I'm going to talk about is 3月のライオン。3月のライオン。This anime was so popular and broadcasted by NHK. NHK is the television and radio from the Japan, but that is the public broadcasting. In NHK, usually the things that are broadcast is very, very educational. And 3月のライオン was broadcasted by NHK in Japan. And as all the animes, at first that was manga. And manga was so popular, then that became anime. And after that, that was also so popular, so it was it became the movies with a real character, real persons too. 3月のライオン This is a very, very good and recommended anime. Well, this title, 3月のライオン where it comes from? Well, 3月, it means March. Because in Japan, in Japanese, we say January, 1月, like the first moon, 1月. February, 2月, like the second moon. And this one, 3 and month. 3月, this is March. January, February, March. March, 3月のライオン. Lion, this is lion. The animal, lion. We say lion. 3月のライオン. And it comes from the English proverb. This English saying is like that. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. It's because of the weather condition. In the beginning of March, it's still cold and windy, right? But in the end of the March, it's already spring and it's getting warmer and warmer. That's why 3月のライオン, this 3月のライオン, the March comes in like a lion. So this title, 3月のライオン, comes from this English saying. Well, it's because there are lots of very famous tournaments of shogi in Japan, and very, very famous one begins in June, and the culmination is in March. The March is the very, very important open tournament. So many shogi kishi are very, very excited, very nervous. They want to win this shogi tournament. So their feeling it's like a lion, like in the beginning of the March. That's why this title. The main character of this anime, 3月のライオン, is a 17-year-old boy. And his life was quite difficult. His parents died in the traffic accident. So he was all alone. But so he grown up with the other family. He had lots of problems, but he's gonna be a very, very good this shogi player. So this is the story about that. But he's gonna meet lots of people and lots of friends, and he met a family with 3 daughters, and these daughters are very, very important to him too. And one of the daughters in the second one, the second daughter is about in 中学生. This is junior high school student, and her name is Hinata. Do you remember that I already made a video about the name of Hinata? Hinata is the person usually with so lots of energy, like a sun, and so bright character, very kind and positive character, Hinata. And this girl in this anime is also like that. So she's very positive person. So positive. Well, in this anime, there's one other problems about ijime. Ijime, it comes from the verb いじめます or いじめる. Ijime is bullying. So bullying at school or bullying in the society. So nowadays, there's a problem with いじめ, right? And this 3月のライオン, it comes also this problem, いじめ. This second girl, Hinata, it's so good girl, and she wanted to help her friend because her friend was suffered from いじめ. So she was just helping her so much. Then the other girls, other all the others began to do this ijime to this Hinata. So Hinata suffered so much, and she talked with this main character, and he helped her a lot. So it's the theme of this ijime, and it's a very good, really good anime. And in this anime, we can learn not only about shogi, but also the human relationships, and the importance to rely on the persons. If you cannot rely on anyone, then no one is gonna rely on you too. So if you have some kind of problems, maybe you can rely on someone and you can talk about it. So these kind of things in 3月のライオン. The next anime is 竜王のお仕事. 竜王のお仕事. I wrote it in hiragana, all in hiragana, because the title is in hiragana. お仕事, it means profession. 竜王, so it means profession of 竜王. But 竜王, it means this is the king. 竜, the dragon. So the king of the dragon. And what is this king of dragon? This is the title of the competition of the shogi. 竜王お仕事 in English, you say that 竜王 work is never done. The 竜王 work is never done. This is the title in English. 竜王のお仕事. This is the story about shogi player, but only 16 years old. He's only 16 years old. So when the author wrote this manga, there were many people criticized him, because they said it's impossible that the 16-year-old boy can win the tournament of shogi. So it's impossible. So everybody was criticizing him. But in 2005, this very famous shogi player, the real one, Fuji Sota, won the prize. And he was just only 14 years old at that time. 14. So the people began to say, oh, that was like prophecy. So it is possible. Then nobody is going to criticize this work. And Fuji Sota won the first time, but the 29 times continuously he was continuing winning. So it was something so special. And in this anime, very little girl, just with 9-year-old girl, wanted to be his discipline. She's a very good player too, but she wanted to train under him, under this 16-year-old boy. So together they work, and they learn, and they're gonna learn a lot about shogi together. So this is a kind of very nice romantic story, but in shogi, about shogi's world, this is very serious. Everything is described so correctly, like terminology or technique, and even how much the shogi player earns money. For example, depends on the tournament which they win, they can get more money or less money. So these kind of things are very just like this in this anime. So you can learn a lot about shogi. Even if you know very well about shogi, then if you watch this anime, you can learn something about shogi because this is really very, very good described about the shogi and shogi's world. The third anime is Shion no O. Shion no O. O is the king. Shion is the girl's name. So Shion's king. Well, this is something to do with shogi, but not so much as the two animes that I mentioned before. This is a mystery or suspense. Shion is the girl, but whose parents were brutally assassinated, brutally murdered when she was very young. And with their bodies, there was the piece of this shogi of the king. So she always was thinking, well, this murder, this murder had something to do with shogi. That's why she began playing shogi. Just because she wanted to know the truth. She wanted to know what had happened, why their parents were murdered. So that's why Shion began to play the shogi. So this is the story about this mystery. But not so much about shogi, but this is the suspense story. The fourth anime that I'm going to talk about is not exactly shogi manga or shogi anime, but there are lots of scenes about shogi. And this anime is very famous, Naruto. Naruto. Naruto is one of these animes that you can appreciate shogi. Do you remember? Uh, uh, Shikamaru was playing shogi with his father, Shikato, but many other scenes. And one interesting, a woman from Poland, and her name is Karolina Kristina Styczynski. Karolina Kristina Styczynski. Well, she is the first woman and foreigner for Japanese people, and she was watching this Naruto, and when she watched how to play shogi, so she, she was surprised because she thought, oh, this shogi is very similar to our chess, but it's very different because in this shogi, if you lose your piece, but this piece is not completely out of the game yet, because this piece now belongs to the opponent, and the opponent can play with that piece. In the same way, if you win the opponent's piece, you can get it and you can reuse it. So that means there are much more possibilities. So lots more possibilities than chess. So she thought it's very interesting, and she began playing shogi. And now she's the first female and foreigner. She plays in Japanese tournament too, and she's a professional shogi player now. So this is very interesting. It's thanks to this Naruto. The fifth and the last anime that I'm going to talk about is Meitantei Conan. Meitantei Conan. Conan is a boy's name. Tantei is detective. Mei, it comes, in this case, Meitantei is a very, very famous detective. Very good detective. Well, I've got the manga version like this, Meitantei Conan. Have you ever seen it? Meitantei Conan. This boy is Conan. He's very intelligent. Well, in Japan, when some manga, some anime can can be on broadcast for long, long time. just it can be decades. And 名探偵コナン is one of these very famous one, and it we can see for many years because we like Conan very much, this detective. And well, so this is very long. So there are lots of series, so lots of channel, lots of series. But in here, there is the person called Haneda Shukichi. Haneda Shukichi, and he's very intelligent with IQ like 200. Very intelligent. So he is a shogi player. Then in this Meitanten Conan, we can also see the scene of shogi, and it's quite interesting. You know, the shogi is the this game, but just it's like a war on this board game. So if you like this kind of games, maybe you like shogi too. If you liked this video, please don't forget to give me like. That makes me very happy. And if you share my videos with your friends, that will help me very much. Thank you very much. 今日もここまで見てくださって本当にどうもありがとうございます。よかったらぜひいいねボタン、そしてチャンネル登録をお願いします。じゃあまた会いましょうね。またね。バイバイ。